We're live, Joe.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh man, I forgot I was hosted. Hello and welcome to the latest from Heart Standard. My name is Joel Sked and I am joined by Craig Cairns, who hit the go live. And then because I didn't hit the go live, I was in a world of my own on my phone, as I too often am. So apologies for that. Me, if you're looking on watch on YouTube, me looking like an idiot or a tit or whatever you want to call me. We are here to discuss a few things. So, firstly, Craig was at the B team game today. Hearts got beat by Celtic 2-1 in the league, in the Lowland League. That was a 12 p.m. kickoff on a Tuesday afternoon, but which is good because one of us was able to go along. And I was at the press conference today at Orion. So we'll talk about that after, and then start looking ahead to the Kilmarnock game tomorrow, and then we won't talk about the St Johnstone game on Saturday. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, when we review the Kelly game, whenever we do that. So, yeah, that's a plan of attack. But of course, before we get into attacking anything, we will talk about our sponsors, who are, you think by now I'd be prepared and have the script in front of me, or even just learn the script off by heart.
Probably should have been a bit more professional and just taken over when you weren't paying attention. I probably should have just introduced it. I don't know why I didn't. So yeah,
no,
we're both at fault there.
It's fine. It's been a busy day. There's a lot going on. But Good Vibes Giveaways are proud to sponsor Hearts Standard. Of course they are. And offer fantastic prizes to fans of the club. Prizes change weekly and include tech gadgets, days out, weekends away, tax-free cash, and even OASIS tickets. Get your tickets now at www.goodvibesgiveaways.com and enter for your chance to spread the good vibes. And we'll chuck in our sunglasses emoji there as well. So Craig, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Still kind of recovering from, had a bit of a mad weekend, like a wedding that was kind of like away. It was on Loch Tay, so I was away for a couple of nights for that. And then I got up first thing in the morning ahead of everybody else and got out of there to make the long drive down to get to Easter Road on time. And then fairly lengthy drive back up to Dundee, caught in traffic twice on the way back up. So I'm still kind of recovering a wee bit. And I stood on a plug about 50 minutes before we came live on air. But other than that, I'm doing all right, yeah.
Standing on a plug seems very kind of cartoon skit.
Oh, it was unlucky as well. Because it was in the wall and I kicked the cable and it's wrapped around my leg and it's fallen perfectly under my other foot and I've stepped on it.
At least you didn't stand on your own hand.
Yeah, exactly. Which I still don't even know how that's possible.
Of course, that is James Wilson's interview. I put it in our WhatsApp channel that we have now, and I would encourage anyone to join it, just in case if you're fed up with like X and social media or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Everything that kind of goes on the site will go in there, or try and provide a wee bit more insight into stuff or latest news and stuff like that as well. But I said in there that it was just for a 17-year-old who just scored his derby and getting asked loads of questions by a group of aging journalists. It's he just handled it really, really well. He was just so confident, so mature, so just intelligent. And I mean, it's not really a surprise to me because I've kind of heard about him, and but it's nice to have a Hearts striker who's coming through, and there's a lot of really looking forward to seeing a bit more of him. But just the way he's handled everything, he just seems to take it in his stride.
Yeah, aye, definitely, and he's looked the part on the pitch as well. I mean, not just the goals. He's kind of like putting himself about. He doesn't look intimidated by it at all. He kind of said himself that he kind of feels nervous before he goes on, but then the adrenaline kicks in, and yeah, that's just a sort of dream moment for him at the weekend there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, dream moment for all of us who are involved in this or watching. As for just, I kind of wrote that when I wrote up his interview, and it was just like, even now, I am unfortunately in my mid-30s, and like nights before derbies, I'll still think about, imagine being able to score a goal at Easter Road in front of the Hearts fans, and an important goal at that. So didn't mean to share that.
I was going to say that I think I know the one you're going to share. I was going to bring that up myself. So yeah, go for it.
And John asked, how do you access WhatsApp channel? So if you've got me on Twitter, I put a link up earlier on today, or alternatively, can I show it on here? Ooh, where is it? If you go down to this is if you go down to updates, in what will be the bottom left-hand corner, just click on that, and then you can, in the search bit at the top, just search for Hearts or Hearts Standard will be there. Just and just join it, and yeah, I'll fire some stuff. Just fire stuff in every day. We'll get to more questions as we work through this video, where I'm just feeling like I'm all over the place. But Craig, talk to me about the B team game. Angus Beef wasn't taking it just because he was on a course, so it was David McNeil, who was the 18s coach, was taking it. Macaulay Tate wasn't there. James Wilson wasn't there. They're obviously involved with the first team, so it was a bit of a younger squad. Let everyone know what kind of happened, what you made of it, and anything else that you kind of stood out.
Just to pick up on what you've said there, I think they're kind of up against it at the moment, really, in terms of squad selection. That was one of the things I asked David McNeil, who took the team after the game, about what he called both the challenge and the purpose of the B team, is that they do well enough, or there's spaces in the first team for other reasons, they get called up, and invariably it's the ones that are doing the best in the team. So the more success you have, the more likely you are to lose your players. And in the case of, like you mentioned, Macaulay Tate there, just because he's training with the first team just now, and imagine because Benny Beningame hasn't been 100% fit at the moment, he's probably next in line in one of the Boateng Devlin positions. It meant that Mackenzie Ross played up front, which I don't think is a position that's wholly familiar to him. Adam Forrester, you didn't mention, he's captaining the B team at the start of the season, and he's now getting regular minutes in the first team. So yeah, they named one fewer substitute. Taylor Hogarth's come up from the under-18s, and then Luke Rathy, who's just back from injury, has gone off injured 10 minutes into the game. He's just crumpled, and he's going to have to get a scan. It's just he seems to have had one injury after another. So even within the game, they were moving about. Bobby McCluckey went off in the second half as well. Gus Stevenson started on the right wing and then was playing one of the number 8s in the second half. Gillies was in Gillis, I don't know how he pronounces it, sorry.
I'm going to go Gillis. Okay, centre midfield in the first half, centre back in the second half. Probably Hearts' the best player on the day. Negatives were that they conceded the same goal twice. There was a suspicion of offside with the second one, but it was a fairly poor goal to concede regardless. Scored a good goal during a good spell of pressure in the second half, but that was their only real sort of sustained bit of pressure, and it wasn't long enough, and they didn't give Celtic too many questions towards the end of the game when there was just a goal in it. So I mean, the suspicion of offside, at least they're preparing them for when they make it to the first team and Celtic and Rangers get the benefit of
decisions. Apparently they stood for ages. But first of all, there was a moment in the first half where the linesman gave a decision and then he said, sorry. You could hear him going, sorry, and then gave it the other way. And that same linesman was the one that was like, he didn't make a decision. It was like the ball went into the net, and then him and the referee stood with their fingers to their ears for ages, and the linesman just looked at, even though the goal had obviously been and gone, he was still looking at the same position as if he could learn more from the aftermath of it. And apparently Callum Sandlin said afterwards that they were saying something wrong with their headsets as well. So I think that delayed it like a little bit further. But yeah, it was a bit bizarre.
I don't like being critical of referees. Don't really like talking about referees, but the standard of refereeing in the league, I don't think is great. Again, like the young players in the B team, I think there's a lot of inexperienced officials, but we're not here to talk about officials. Yeah, and just going back to something that you said about the nature of the Lowland League is that when it's good, it might not look good with scores, but it's good that when Forrester and Tate and Wilson are moving up, obviously Pollock's going out on loan, that it means that the younger players are being pushed through and they're getting experience at that level much younger. And that's where I think the B team in the Lowland League is going to benefit Hearts the most, is by challenging the guys who are 16 and 17 rather than the players who are maybe 18 towards 19, 20. At that age, you're kind of wanting to play higher up the food chain at that age, whereas with the Lowland League, it's a 5th tier. You're probably it's a good step for those guys who are in the under 18s and ready to step up, that they can just get that experience of playing against men, essentially. And then we've seen it with, I think, Sandilands, if he's not involved with the first team the rest of the season, I think he'll go out on loan in January, just because he's played so many Lowland League games. It would have been the same with Forrester, but then Taylor got injured, and now he's part of the first team. So yeah, that's with sorry, just read the comments slagging off my hairline. Fair enough. But yeah, I do think it's the positive I look at it is it's really good. The Lowland League is really, really good for those guys who are 16, 17.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been an issue at Hearts for a number of years now. I don't know what the issue is. I've been following from a distance, but young players have not been coming through nearly at the rate that they should be, or that fans want to be, or that's been advertised sometimes. And we're seeing now. So I think probably for the whole time that the B team's been going, so we've not really seen many make the step up. So the jury's been out on whether it has been beneficial or not. But I think we're now in the first period where we can say, yes, this is prepared on the small bits of evidence we've got so far. This has prepared the likes of Adam Forrester and less so James Wilson for the first team.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else to add before we move on to talk about the press conference?
I don't think so. I've got something going up later this evening. I was hoping to have it done before we came on air, but something going up later, and then have an interview with Callum Sandilands later in the week, probably. I did ask him what you mentioned there about the loan. I did ask him whether there was any further forward on whether that would happen or whether the new manager had changed things, and he just said that hadn't been spoken about. But before that, he had said that the new manager's been great, and he's been speaking to a lot of the young guys, but he mentioned he spoke to him individually.
Oh, good. Yeah, I've got high hopes for Sandlands. I wrote an article earlier on in the year or in the summer, and you just need to, Hearts fans just need to look at his numbers, what he produces from midfield to the Lowland League, and just well, that's a goal scoring midfielder. If he doesn't score goals, he sets up goals. So really encouraged, and he's a really good egg as well, which like James Wilson is good to have, and Macaulay Tate all seem to be really good guys. But we'll move on to looking ahead to the Kilmarnock game tomorrow. I was at the press conference today with Neil Critchley, and it was Daniel Oyegoke. I suppose the one I'll start with, I may as well just bring in a question here, James Govan. With the article about Salazar released, do we know if it's purely football related or is attitude poor, etc.?
Can I just say, when I read that, I scrambled, because that was before we came on air, that comment came, and I scrambled on the internet. I was like, I read that as Salazar had been released.
Oh, yeah. So just to clarify, Neil Critchley got asked about Salazar and about in his kind of situation. He didn't really go into specifics about Salazar. He kind of just talked in general terms. He was a wee bit coy about it, and just the nature of the squad. He has to leave people out. I think now Critchley's never going to give any away. Yes, so Salazar is, I think it was a St Mirren game. Before the St Mirren game, put a couple of Instagram stories up, and it wasn't the most professional thing to do. But by and large, I think he's He gets involved in training really well. Gets involved as part of the group really well, and I think there is talent there. I just think, reading between the lines, that with Salazar, I just feel that Neil Critchley's gone for players who, I wouldn't use the word trustworthy, but guys maybe who know the league a wee bit more. Like James Penrice has started really well, and then you see Stephen Kingsley coming in. I just think there's maybe a reliability factor in there, and I think Salazar will just need to be patient. I know someone asked about Musa. I think they're two very different situations. Musa.
Oh, sorry. Can I just add, and before you go into Musa, just about Salazar, because I think that two things. I think one of the things, because Critchley said it himself, he's carrying on the work that's been done by Liam Fox, and Liam Fox quickly dropped a couple of people out of the squad, and they've not really been seen since. And the other thing is, there's been chat recently about our fullbacks, and I mean, our fullbacks barely last 90 minutes. So we could just be an injury away from Salazar being needed, given the intensity that our fullbacks are asked to play. Now, I know some of that, like Oyekoki's been picking up knocks and things like that, but Critchley's changed at least one fullback in all 3 games, I think.
Yeah, he has. But I think that I still don't think we'll see much of him in the short term. I still think there's still hope. Or I mean, you just look at his background. He's clearly a good player. He's played for one of the biggest clubs in Colombia. He's played for the Colombian national team. But as someone said in here, why drop Penrice? Penrice has been absolutely brilliant, and I think it's just circumstances that not going well. The team started poorly, and I think just Penrice has been one of the better players. And then you're just looking for guys who I think you can get Critchley, because he's simplifying it. He's not got a lot of time on the training ground. Get his message across easier to certain players, and I think that's it. I wouldn't write him off yet. I wouldn't say it's because he's poor or he's got like a bad attitude. I just think it's just a nature of. It's just a case of 2 or 3 things going against him. So yeah, I'm curious to see how that one develops. I don't think there'll be any decision made just yet. It's like cancelling the loan or anything like that. With Musa, it's different. I just don't think he's off the quality required at the moment to get in the team. I think it's as simple as that, and that's not just a punt. Yeah, that's not a criticism of Musa. That again, he arrived as a player who was seen as longer term. He wasn't for the here and now, and that's kind of borne fruit. And I suppose what's kind of built up was the fact that the team were playing so poorly, and then just bring him in and get him involved. And to be fair to him, he did okay when he came off the bench against Celtic, but again, I just don't think he is in certainly the short term thinking of Critchley. Again, kind of going back to what I was saying about Salazar, you want guys who can get the message across, reliable, and I just think Musa is simply not for the here and now. It's probably as straightforward as that. Elsewhere, in terms of what Critchley said, Benny Beningame should hopefully be involved tomorrow. He was not committal on that. Benny's missed the last 2 games because of illness. He tried to train on Saturday, but got sent home. Did they say
what the illness was, Joe? Has he said at all what it was? No.
Someone's just tried to join. No.
Yep.
No. When someone says illness, I just guess it's just like a cold or something like that. That's
a virus or something.
Yeah, a virus. Yeah. That's the best way to put it. Because they came in on Saturday.
He did say about. I think at Easter Road he did say didn't want it spreading or something, didn't he? I think Critchley did use those words.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he got sent home. And then as soon as I arrived at Oriam today, I walked past him, and then Critchley confirmed that he had trained. He did say that he's not sure if he will be involved tomorrow, just because that was this week, maybe today was his first training session. So that will be I think he will be involved, whether it's on the bench or probably more likely on the bench. Not sure what that means for the starting 11, because we've seen on Sunday that one of the two midfielders probably could have done with not starting on Wednesday night, especially in the Kilmarnock game against Kilmarnock, who will be plenty of energy in the midfield, especially if David Watson starts. So, I mean, that was probably the big things that came out of the press conference.
Was there any other team news?
Just Oda's still out, Gerald Taylor's still out, and Callum Newhoff's still out. Gerald Taylor is long term, and then the other two still a few weeks away. So yeah, Oda's got a hamstring issue, and then Callum Newhoff frustratingly. Might see him in 2027 maybe.
One last wee comment before we go.
Well, I was just going to talk about the Kilmarnock game just quickly. But
sorry.
Well,
it's related. It kind of takes us into it then.
Yep.
Something I was thinking about today. Would you drop Danda? Didn't do anything at the weekend, in my opinion. At times looked disinterested. That's from Beep Bop Boop. I actually wonder whether, following on from what you had said about it maybe not being the game for him at the weekend, maybe Wednesday night is. I think Kilmarnock are going to come and try and make it stodgy, and he's the kind of player that can unlock a defence. So I wonder whether Sunday wasn't the game for him, Wednesday maybe is. I don't know what you thought about that.
Agreed. Yeah, I can't really add much to that. I still thought Forrest should have started against Hibs, and then you bring Danda on, and then tomorrow, like the next two games, I think are perfect for Danda. So yeah, I thought it was maybe a wee bit back to front, but I wouldn't necessarily drop Danda. I think kind of the game, especially tomorrow, I think that's again a game you want Danda, or you kind of brought Danda in for, and you kind of go with a similar shape.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Saturday against St Johnstone though, because St Johnstone seem to be taking this more attacking approach, which I think will suit Hearts on the day. But again, I don't know if that's a game that suits Danda or not, or whether you're looking for somebody like Forrest with his like he played against. I keep wanting to say Dynamo Minsk, Ammonia, like the way he played in that game, like looking to kind of dispossess and running behind and stuff. But yeah, as you said, there's a 90 minutes before that, Kilmarnock on Wednesday night. This is quite a difficult one because I don't think Kilmarnock are as poor as their start to the season would suggest, but I do think they're fragile, and I still think they'll give us respect and they'll sit in and try and like a typical Derek McInnes underdog type performance, and I think we've got to capitalise on their nervousness early. We've got like we did against St Mirren and against Ammonia. I think that's the key to winning, is to unsettle them early on.
Yeah. I think that's the key to any Hearts game where Hearts are the protagonists, and especially at home where teams will sit in. Like Derek McInnes it won't be daft. I don't think he'll make any. I don't think I think because I was surprised that Stephen Robinson did what Stephen Robinson did when he went from the back three to the 4-3-3, and it just clearly didn't work. I don't think you'd see McInnes making such a jump, and he knows he's been around the block enough. He knows how to frustrate Hearts and Tynecastle. I actually think, despite it being at home, and the other guys on the scarce around the funnel talked about it, I think Wednesdays are going to be a harder game than a more tense game than Saturday. You talked about St Johnstone and how they've changed and the way they could set up. I suppose within the kind of discussing what the team might be tomorrow, I think we'll see Forrester probably come back in at the starting 11, and I wonder. The one I'm intrigued by is I wonder if James Wilson will potentially start the match. I asked Critchley about that this afternoon, but that's in that is in the Margot stuff, so I kind of can't really say what he said. But he didn't really confirm or deny it. To be fair, but I just think with.
Oh, sorry, on you go.
I'm just going to say, I just think that with Vargas, he's played a lot of football. We've seen on Sunday that he just looked. I know it's kind of been the case where he's frustrated in the final third this season, but he just looked tired with just some of the things that he did. There was one moment, I put it in the analysis, where he got the ball. So Danda played him a nice pass, and if he had got his touch right, he would turn and he was right on the edge of the box, and he was in a really dangerous position. But his touch wasn't right; it bounced away, and then he tried to play Oyogoki, slip him in down the right hand side, and he just overhit the pass and it went out. And it kind of just summed up his performance. And I just wonder, with the amount of football he's played, with the travel he's done as well, I just think James Wilson on a high, scored a couple of goals. The crowd will kind of relate or resonate with that. Will resonate with the crowd and give him a bit more energy. So I just wonder if we'll see James Wilson tomorrow night.
That's exactly what I was going to say about Vargas. Is that we said it a wee while ago. Under Naismith, he played a lot of football, international breaks, and we're in that situation with him now. And he's kind of like the victim of there not being many forward options and there not being many pacey options. So yes. I don't know. Critchley will have the decision to make about whether he starts Wilson or not. That's I'm not going to try and second guess that. If not, I wouldn't be surprised if Vargas drops out anyway, and it's maybe like somebody like Forrest or something like that, which I know is not ideal, but you can't just keep run. I say it over and over. You can't just keep running players into the ground. He'll pick up an injury, and then we'll have no players with in attacking areas with pace. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he drops out, given the amount of football games we've had. He's played in the games we've got coming up. What about could maybe, if Benny's not available, then is there a chance that maybe Macaulay Tate comes in for one of the midfielders, or at least plays a part? Because I know that both of them came off against Hibs, but that was more a sort of we're throwing everything at it formation towards the end of the game, rather than a sort of a tactical thing as such.
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely. Again, was disappointed not to see Macaulay Tate on the bench on Sunday, just with Benny not being there, just a natural replacement to come in and drop into one of those two roles. And I get it that they're senior players who will they have a long-term future at the club? I'm not too sure, but they're senior players there who I think it's just natural to kind of rely on. But yeah, I'm not sure he will start tomorrow, but I certainly wouldn't be against it if Benny's not fit for Macaulay Tate to. I mean, he's done it at Tynecastle before. He's done it in games, especially like more coming off the bench. But I think it's got to the point now where you're not worried about putting him into such situations. And if it gets to 7:40, well, when 6:15, whenever, no, 6:30 tomorrow, when the team sheets submitted, and if it's like Forrester, Macaulay Tate and Wilson all in the starting 11, I'm not sure it's going to be quite like that. I don't think that's going to happen. I think would it be against it?
It'll be Wilson or Tate or neither. I would say I don't think he would start both of them, because especially we're talking about we think that Forrester is going to start. There was something else I was going to add, but I think that was the other thing. The other thing is that Tate's a small player, quite small, and we probably don't need another small player against Kilmarnock.
Yes, I think that's
quite a small team.
Yes, and Kilmarnock are very, very dangerous from wide
I feel like
areas.
We're saying that every week. I feel like everybody else is a big team and we're not.
It's Scottish football. You have to be wary of the physicality and the size of team. I'm going to quickly answer a couple of questions right at the end.
Cool.
But what do you? I don't know how much you've seen of Kilmarnock this season, but what do you make as Kilmarnock under McInnes, and who have you been impressed with this season?
Well, I've not seen a whole lot of them. But as I was saying earlier, to kind of follow on for what I was saying earlier, I don't think they're going to be in a relegation battle this season. I think they'll be fairly comfortable. I think tough schedule to begin with. They've had far too many red cards and suspensions. There's been injuries on top of that. So there have been extenuating circumstances as to why they maybe don't have as many wins or as many points on the board. And I think, and looking at danger men, Danny Armstrong's always somebody that can turn it on, even though he's not nearly hit the heights that he did last season. And the one player that seems to have kept up some form this season, at least from what I've seen, is Marley Watkins. And I've actually been quite surprised by how good a player he's become for Kilmarnock, because when he signed him, he was a bit of a backup option. Wasn't exactly. He was good for Aberdeen. He was serviceable, and he was part of some successful lineups and stuff. But I never thought of him as a key player for them or anything. And I've been quite surprised by how good he's been for Kilmarnock.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on Armstrong, looking forward to the battle again. I don't know if Penrice will play just because Critchley has been changing the fullbacks, but him against Penrice will be a very good battle. I'm just going to bring in, I think it's 3 questions on your mark, but feel free to jump in on them, Craig. Is the physical and height deficiency something you'd like to see addressed in January? I still think we've got a relatively decent sized squad. You've added Oyegoki, you've added Boateng, you've added just height at fullback and centre midfield. The biggest deficiency that needs addressed in January is pace. We need more pace, especially in the final third.
And how much business are we actually going to do in January? It might be the case that we need to move people on or loan out 100%. Before we do, because we've got a big squad, and 100%. I know we've recouped quite a bit of money from Europe and stuff, but it's quite a lot of money is already getting spent on wages.
Yeah, and you obviously you need to see what the situation is when you get to January. But it's ideally you're wanting to do your best business in the summer, or certainly look ahead to getting players on pre-contract. Someone mentioned Danny Armstrong. I think he might be out of contract at the end of the season, but do not quote me on that. Where was another one? Ian Manson says, Joe, can you not just ask Critchley directly what the actual problem is with Musa? I will. I'll do that on Friday. But I suspect I'll roughly know what the answer will be, similar to what he gave when he spoke about Salazar. And I did. I can't remember. There's been so many press conferences. I did ask about the players who weren't in this. Asked them after the St Mirren game.
You actually did say Salazar and Musa.
Yes.
In your question. And he then answered the question, not naming names.
Yeah. So I have asked about the players not in the squad, and he kind of gave a similar answer as he did today about Salazar and just how it's difficult, the size of the squad, and that he has to leave players out. But I'll ask him again on, I think, Friday, when the next pre-match press conference is. And finally, unless something else, there was a question about Zander Clark. I cannot find it. But basically someone was asking about Zander Clark. Do you see him leaving it in January? So apologies for not putting it up on the screen. I just can't find it. It's asking about Zander Clark. Zander Clark wants to play football. I think Zander Clark knows that you need to be playing football to get back in the Scotland squad. So I would imagine if there was an opportunity that came up for Zander Clark, that he would want to take it. No, there we go. Camilo asks, do you think Zander will leave in January since he's not first choice keeper? But you have to remember he is out of contract at the end of the season as well. So I do think there's a really interesting not dilemma, but interesting future for Hearts and where the goalkeeping situation is going to be. Both Clark and Gordon are out of contract at the end of the season. Liam McFarlane and Harry Stone, who are still highly thought of, are out on loan. So it's hard to know. Like Gordon, I don't know how long he wants to keep going. Clark will want to play. They want to play football, as anyone does. So if something happened and someone wanted to come in for Clark, I think he would be open or looking to it, just because, again, he's a guy that would be wanting to play football. He's been a first choice keeper for most of his, for a large part of his career. I know he had the battle with, who was a Northern Irish keeper at St Johnstone. He was kind of in and out of the team, but then
Alan Manus.
that's the one. And reiterate myself, the Scotland squad, you want to get back in the Scotland squad, and to do that, he needs to play football. So, yeah, that's a goalkeeping situation. I think that'll be an interesting one to come in the near future. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Craig, thank you very much for setting up and for steering me right with me being all over the place. We'll be back potentially either after the game tomorrow or sometime on Thursday to review the Kilmarnock game, maybe look ahead to the St Johnstone game. Be sure to check out www.heartstandard.co.uk. There's plenty going up there from the press conference, from the B team, and also do check out Foundation of Hearts. They have announced the 8 candidates who are standing for election, one of which is Gary Locke, one of which is Jerry Mallon, who's standing for re-election, and one of which is Scott McIntosh, who sometimes frequents these parts, and then 5 others. And I would urge anyone to go on to, we've got it on Heart Standard, but go onto the Foundation website as well and look at the election addresses of each and every person and get involved in voting when it does happen, because the Foundation, of course, majority shareholders, if you want change, if you want stuff to happen, you have to vote for the right people, etc., etc. So get involved in that. But other than that, I will stop this rambling mess and say goodbye and thank you very much.
See you all soon.
Are you hitting edge?